So as of midnight, the movie Night Teeth dropped on Netflix, and we pressed play pretty much at midnight just because we were up and I was looking at the list of movies that was coming out in October that I did a video on. And, I'm not a big vampire fan, as I'm sure some of you know by now. So this wasn't something I was greatly looking forward to. But, it just so happened to drop right at that moment. I was like, you know what? Let's just watch it. I'll do a quick video on it so I can tell people yay or nay on this. So this is about a kid who takes this job from his brother as a driver, and he picks up these two beautiful women, and he's taking them to all of these different parties. And while they are there, they are, I don't know how much I want to talk about the plot as far as spoilers go, but let's just say they're vampires. I think you know what they're doing when they're being driven house to house. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. Now that's a considerably better movie, but it did kind of have that similar story to it of this guy who's kind of forced to drive around a killer to these different locations in the night as they get to know each other. And this is more of like a romance tale. It did feel kind of more geared towards a younger audience for sure. And this adds almost nothing new to the vampire subgenre. What's funny in this movie is that when it starts, it has this really cool artistic animation that's being played over like the hood and the glass of the car as it's driving. It's showing you kind of the lore of this world, setting it up. And I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. I like that. And this film looks great, man. It's got a high production value. It's super sleek. It looks fantastic. So really, really cool on that. And also, this is from the director of I See You, which was one of my favorite films of 2019, if I remember correctly. If you haven't seen that movie, absolutely check it out. It's great. So when I saw that he was directing it, which I looked that up, as the credits were rolling in the beginning, and that kind of different artistic take on it than I was expecting from a film like this, and with how high quality it was, I immediately went to IMDb and was like, who's behind this? And when I saw the director, I was like, oh wow, that's why, because this guy is talented. I mean, if that film is any indication. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying about this not adding anything. In the beginning of the film, when that, animation is happening, telling about the lore, we have a voiceover, which I think is done by Lucy Fry, who's one of the girls in this, who I know from the Wolf Creek TV series, which both seasons are currently on Shudder. I do need to get to the second season at some point. I did watch the first season. I also know her from my kids' show. I think it was called like Mako Mermaids. I think that was the one she was on. But I'm pretty familiar with her at this point. I've seen her in a few things. But anyway, she says that there's been depictions, because as far as the story goes, there's like this truce between the humans and the vampires about, and there's like rules to this, right? And this is nothing new. We've seen this in plenty of depictions of vampire movies. But she says in it that, since the truce, they've made multiple films on vampires based on, of course, the real life incarnations of them that actually exist, but that they got details wrong, and like almost like a joke, like oh no, like we're not allergic to sunlight, and we can't be staked through the heart, and we don't drink blood, or all the typical things, right? She doesn't say that, it's just implied that there would be something different to them. So when that happened, I looked over at Kaylee and I was like, oh, that's cool. So they're going to try to change it up here. Wonder what's going to be different about these vampires. Will they not burn in the sun? Will crosses not work? Or whatever. Whatever. Everything that we saw of them in this movie is generic every fucking vampire movie you've ever seen. There's not a moment in the movie where something happens and it's something that we know from the past that they're like, I don't work like that. Or like we, the audience, can be like, oh, that doesn't work on them? Like, oh, they really are different. No. It just does not happen in this movie, so I don't understand the point in mentioning it, so it kind of was annoying to me. Overall, I liked this. Not a lot, but it was fine. It was watchable for sure. It really looked great, and I did really like the main character. I thought he was good. He was likable. He was relatable. He wasn't annoying. He didn't make too many stupid decisions. They did a good job of explaining why he couldn't leave first, and then why he wouldn't want to leave later. So all that stuff, none of it's really annoying. Really, where this film kind of loses points and why I'm not big on it, and I'm just at kind of it was watchable. If you're a vampire fan, you should definitely check it out. But what really didn't work for me in this is just how generic everything is as far as the storyline goes. I think the director does a very good job with the material is given. There's a lot of really cool creative shots, and I did like the way that this was directed. But a director can only do so much with a script that is kind of paint by numbers as far as this goes. We've seen this kind of hierarchy of vampires and them working more as almost like a crime mob syndicate kind of thing, and being a truce with certain people, and these guys are the protectors, and if they break the truce they're going to come in. We've seen all this stuff before, right? And we've seen the guy who's going for power, and none of this is new. So you're really just kind of here for the romantic thing that's going on between our main character and the other girl that's in the car with him. And that's sweet. And I like it. And that's all fine. And I that's what saved the movie for me. The look of it and their chemistry and his acting. Everyone's acting is good in this. We get Megan Fox in this movie for about as much as we get her in the trailer. She's maybe in this a minute, so you don't get a lot of her. I was wondering why she wasn't in the trailer much, because they couldn't really show her much, because she's not really in this much. We also get the guy, Alfie or Alan, Alfie, whatever, fucking Theon Greyjoy from Game of Thrones. And they're all good. They're all fine. I mean, as I said, but it is all kind of stock, with a good sheen on it. But yeah, it's definitely not one to run to. But if you're a big vampire fan and you like this kind of story, definitely check it out. It's well made. It's just it lacks in that script. It really is kind of been there, done that. But I like the character. I like the characters enough. And I think Lucy Fry is really fun and nutty in this. She has some really fun moments where she clearly just doesn't give a fuck. And, when most people would be ducking or hiding, she's embracing the moment and kind of being this super thrill seeker. She plays her role very well, as it does everybody. Everyone's fine here. It really is just the script. That's the problem. I think the direction, I think the production value, I think the actors are all good. But the script is just something we've seen many times before, and better in other places, in a lot of those instances. So this is a missed opportunity, because I do think that this could have been made really cool if it was more edgy and it had, more fun with things. It's not overly graphically violent. It's very PG in that sense. I mean, outside of like some cursing, I feel like this could be PG-13. So that, but it's a vampire movie. I'm pretty used to that. There's not a lot of vampire movies out there that are super R-rated. They should be. Like, I like the depiction of vampires to be more monstrous, more horrific. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula when he's like the half man bat thing, or From Dusk Till Dawn, of course, or whatever. Like, that's definitely my preferred vampire look and feel. And this one goes for more of the classic, like perfect, beautiful people. They're all rich and gorgeous and young, and that's all fine. I don't know. There's nothing memorable about this film. You watch it and you're looking at it like, wow, this is pretty, and wow, the acting's pretty good, and the characters are likable enough, and it's all serviceable, it's all watchable. But as I always say, is that good enough, or is that even almost adding insult to injury? Like, to me, like, some people, and myself included for sure, at times where it's like, I almost rather watch a bad movie that tries new things. Actually, I would rather watch a bad movie that goes for broke, tries new things, as opposed to this, which just kind of plays it safe and goes off of all the tropes of vampire movies. And it tries to give it that like sleek new edge of, modern day and fancy cars and these really rich locations, and they're trying to build this world. There's a lot of world building going on, but as I said, it's just all aped from things in the past. So what's new here? Yeah, if you're gonna watch this by this point, I hope, and let me know if you do. Yeah, adios.